Flavia was nursing the child, and Logan couldn't take his eyes off her. Such deep longing spoke to me, because if my eyes weren't on him, they were on her too. The tension and awkwardness that hung could suffocate a person. I sat on Logan's left. It seemed I did not exist, him completely absorbed in his true mate. Dante plated for his mate, then himself, 4 plates before him which were overpouring with food. The dragons came flying down, and I realized why such large portions of food. The vampire king fed them, and it felt like we were interrupting a special family moment. I felt like an intruder. The air sparked with an emotion I could not decipher, but it made the hole in my chest larger. My head turned to Logan, but he was gone. My appetite was down the drain, yet I put a few items on my plate with Logan's plate left empty. I did not know if to plate for him. It would be awkward when the couple ate and our plates stayed clean. I decided to take his empty plate, pushing mine to Logan because I knew he wouldn't eat, just to save face. I filled the empty plate and set it down before me. My throat was closed up, no space even for water yet. I stabbed the fork in some meat and reluctantly brought it up to my mouth. I chewed it for so long, just prolonging the moment I had to swallow. "He is good to go here, Logan," the vampire queen said, holding out the toddler whose eyes immediately went to Logan, analyzing him. To my shock, Logan pushed up his chair and took the child. My eyes ran to the king, but he was still feeding and playing with the twin dragons. What a heart you had to have to not be bothered. The food turned to glass as it slowly went down my throat. Somehow my heart broke a little, and I was not sure why. A scream poured from the child as soon as Logan sat down. It was a war cry, piercing and eardrum threatening. The twin dragons seemed to activate because they quickly left the king's side to fly over the table, deadly staring at Logan as if ready to roast him to a crisp. Logan cared for none of it. He tried holding on to the child, but the child kept shifting and twisting until he hung towards me as if to fall. I put my fork down and turned to stare. The toddler immediately opened his arms as if begging to be rescued. "Don't worry, he is like that even with us. He likes torturing everyone with his cries," the queen said. Logan was reluctant, but the baby wasn't having it. He was already halfway to me, kicking and twisting. I held out my arms and scooped him to me. Never in my life had I seen a baby so close, nonetheless touch him. He was heavier than he looked, but he smelt so good. His skin was so soft, and his red eyes underneath those glass tears stole my heart. I readjusted him, his warmth pouring on me. He was so hot you would think he would be sweating. "He is so hot. It's a dragon thing," the queen answered, my eyes traveling to them. "Dante is half dragon," the queen explained, and it all finally made sense. My heart melted, and all I wanted to do was bury my face in the child's soft skin. His cry died down, but he began attacking me. He was scratching my face and pulling my hair. A monster in the making. There was a sense of turmoil within him, which left him restless. "He likes you. You are good with babies. It's a witch thing," I blurted out, running my fingers on his back until he stopped attacking my face and just settled in peace. As much as I loved carrying him, I could feel Logan's eyes on me like a hawk. "Here, he is calm now," I said, holding the child out to him. Logan hesitated but took him after. The twin dragons shifted from throwing daggers at me to Logan. They were not letting anything happen to the child. A cold shiver rippled through my body with such intensity. A voice which somehow transcribed into a vision echoed in my brain. My eyes turned wide, staring from one of the dragons to the king. My hand moved on its own, wide open and directed to one of the dragons. His head turned to me and the room fell still. "Come here, Your Majesty." I don't know where that came from. It was a gut feeling taking over me. I barely used my powers because once I fully dipped into them, hell would break loose. There were different witches in a coven, each with different gifts, keeping balance in the coven. "Come here, child." I was not in control at all. I could feel all eyes on me, yet I could not tear away from Prince Kaid. His name kept echoing in my head. Somehow he made his way to me reluctantly and sat on my both outstretched hands as of then. "Can I bless him?" I still stared at him with his beautiful red scales that seemed black from some angles. None said a thing. In life is a path set for us all. When we make decisions, there comes in doubt. We doubt our capabilities to make the right choices. Most of the time, fate wins, but sometimes the doubts become loud, and we forfeit the fate set for us. In that case, a new path is set forth, unpredictable and dangerous. By blessing him in the king, I am removing the cloud of doubt. Your path has been set, follow without doubt. Ekwawi tupi leers. My hand curled up his head as the blessing took root. Can't you bless them all? I do as I am shown. I pushed Prince Kite up, him flying away as if burned, straight to his father, where he hid behind. My hand then stretched out. My eyes stared at the vampire king. It was as if seeing him through a veil. He placed his hand on mine, and I chanted the same spell. As soon as his hand pulled away, I got a zap. My body pulled back as the spirit settled back down. My eyes went wide, taking deep breaths with glassy eyes. I had never experienced something like it, but I had known it would happen. All I had to rely on was my mother's notes. I am sorry, I said, all eyes heavy on my skin. I took the glass with shaking hands to take a sip. It was not painful at all, but I was just shocked. Once it began happening, it was going to be free reign on me. Witches exist in covens. There are 5 main covens in the witch world, and they have vast power. The power comes as a bundle, and they share it. There are seers, weavers, and more. When one dies, the others carry the deceased if the deceased had no offspring. I explained, finally taking in the room, and they all stared with even wider eyes, hung on my words. They were so confused. The rogue kingdom always had a cloak around it, but years back the cloak became weak and was about to collapse. No one knew why suddenly. All the witches brought to enforce it were weak. They died in the process. King Agnes approached one of the original covens. I pulled in air, the words seeming to just spring out of my mouth. When he requested help, only one of the leaders agreed, but the rest refused to. He did not want to take no for an answer. He kept coming back, trying to convince them, but he failed until he learned more about witches and their shared power. The witches did not know the extremes he would go to have his way. He killed everyone in the coven except one. She carried all the others, their souls and all the power. He forced her to hold up the cloak, but she made it weak. He did not know that. I snapped my mouth shut, sitting back, not even sure why I had spoken in the first place. I shared secrets. The guilt consumed me. It was my first time talking about it, and I got carried away. Why did she want to help him in the first place? Didn't she know what the rogues did? The queen questioned. It's the story as old as time. Love, she saw a man that was wounded, and she thought, with me he is different, he can change. The reality of the words hit as I spoke them. Was history repeating itself? What happened to her? The queen was really invested. I can speak no more. I had already said too much. I stood by the wall, listening to the raining water even through the closed door. My hearing was getting better, and I could feel my body get stronger even through the conditions I put it through. The water stopped, and I waited with bated breath, my eyes trained on the door. I heard Logan brush his teeth before he opened the door. A towel was in hand, ruffling his short hair with another tied on his waist. The scars couldn't hide the packs he carried on him. They couldn't hide the deep V that got swallowed by the towel. I did not even release a breath. My eyes trailed back up until they locked with silver-blue orbs pinning me where I was. That bite, it changed something between us. It set something in stone and set our paths for us. Logan stopped ruffling his hair and just stared at me. The tension between us grew. My lower lip got caught by my teeth before it slowly slid away from their capture. They brought a pair of clothes for you. His eyes tore to the folded pile on the bed. It's a pair of pants, a t-shirt, and shoes, I added, him turning right back to the bathroom. I took his clothes and moved them to the tub chair by the corner before I took my position once again. The door swung wider, him having left the towel he had used to dry his hair. His bare feet kissed the carpeted floor and passed me. I followed his every move because watching him turn to my favorite spot. He lowered to the bed and turned to stare at me. He stared for the longest time, and I felt compelled to step even closer, but I held position. I will leave early in the morning, he stated, alone, and finished after his pause. The words had no effect on me, and I was not sure why. My own feelings perplexed me. I might have fooled myself in the beginning to think you were my captive, but we both know you have stayed on your own free will. You could have easily left any time you wanted. True, and I would have continued following him even as he stated he wanted to leave alone. But as I spoke at dinner, I was reminded that my duty did not only lay on those my father hurt, it also lay on my coven too. You don't have to stay here. You can go wherever you want, but the werewolf kingdom is not safe for you. I understood, slightly nodding my head. Logan sighed, his hand going through his hair. But wait for me. I will hunt and kill your father, then I will come back so you can reject my mark. From there, you will be free and I can proceed with my plans. Somehow I knew what his plans were. Somehow I understood because if I were him, I would do it too. I felt envy. I was in awe, but my duty bound me. If I died, the magic from my coven would dissipate into the earth. Generation on generation of magic and history washed away with little left to remember it. My ancestors were proud people. I would not let them down. I pushed off the wall, my heart running rampage in my chest. Suddenly, each step was taken with eyes locked on his. He followed me with those same eyes until I stood in front of him. The tension built and threatened to spill. His breath hitched as I stared down at him with hooded eyes. He understood just then what my intentions were, and they were far from pure. I straddled, then slowly lowered myself onto him. He couldn't help but grip my hips as I closed the gap. We cannot. He shook his head. We will, I stated as a matter of fact. My hand crept to his neck, tipping his head up a little as I descended down. The bond will complete, he stated, his mind still on the sane side. His eyes were telling me not for long. I am the head of an original coven. I carry my ancestors in me. My wolf is weak. Rest assured, Alpha, I can handle your death. I spoke out, my hands running up his nape into his hair. I did not know where I was taking this confidence. The magic in me was spreading and blooming with each day. My wolf was getting stronger. I feared what I would be by the end of it. His eyes closed, our faces inches away. My nose brushed on his, and the tiny sparks rippled through every sliver where he touched me. It exploded into fire, even though the fear still lingered. His breath was mine, and mine was his. We were so close I couldn't see even with my eyes open. Finally, I gave in and closed them. With one body sense closed, another put over time. My skin turned hypersensitive. Logan pushed his lips up, brushing them against mine while his hands brought my hips closer. The pool of emotions exploded, the need more than the fear. Even as my body shook from the trauma carried from my past, the need still won. Make me forget, please. I begged, my chest closing from both emotions. It seemed we were both scared. My beautiful daughter, there is none as beautiful as you, just like your mother. I gulped down the saliva in my mouth. Each step he took forward, I took one back. Even after all the years, I still fell into his trap. My calves touched the bed, and I jumped from the impact. Once again, the fear consumed me so much I did not realize I was going exactly where he wanted me. I tried to scramble away, but he rushed to push me down the bed. I couldn't breathe, my head twisting to the side as his fingers pinched my chin, pulling me back to stare at his red, crazy eyes. You even smell like her. My eyes shut close, tears spilling even with the years of experience. Once upon a time she would tremble just like you do now. The words always left me trembling even harder. Adira, I was a weeping mess. I couldn't stop crying, couldn't stop fighting. Adira, a hand kept shaking me over and over until my eyes fluttered open to realize it was all a dream. I could not believe, though. My body shot up, pushing Logan away as my head turned from left to right. Everything Logan made me feel hours ago was gone. I shivered so hard, my body as if maggots poured upon it. I couldn't stop scratching. I couldn't stop digging my nails into my skin. Adira, it's okay. I could not believe. My nails went deep until a hand gripped my wrists and brought them together. It's okay. It was just a nightmare. It's okay. But it was not okay. It would never be okay. The hand let go, and before I could go back to scratching, arms wrapped around me and held on tightly. It's okay. It was not okay. It would never be okay. I cried until I fell into a state where I was asleep, but with every move Logan made, I would stir awake, then slumber back in sleep. His body moved and I was pulled from my great abyss. As per usual, I nestled on him and I was about to drown in sleep again, but he moved his other arm from me. I did not open my eyes, waiting to see what his next move was. He slowly pulled away from me. Sleep. The whisper left a shiver running down my body. I could sense his hesitance. His lips fell near my ear and I wanted more. I needed more. He pulled back and I nearly screamed out. He tucked me in bed, then kissed my hair before pulling away completely. I felt so cold, even with the heavy cover and sheets on me. A door opened and closed. I couldn't go back to sleep, even if I wanted to. The blankets could not give me what he gave me. The whole bed was cold without him. The thought of never seeing Logan again killed me, and I realized that maybe I had been too cocky with my words. Feeling his death would wreck me. Even thinking of it as I lay broke my heart. With shaky legs, I slid out of the bed and walked across the room to the bathroom, where I could hear the shower running. I walked in, closing the door behind me with my eyes, seeing the bulk of his body behind the misty door. I had never felt so vulnerable with my feelings and emotions. I never knew I could be that vulnerable until Logan came along. The glass door was opened by myself and I stepped in. The water was so warm. My eyes lay on him, and he was magnificent. Any other man I would mate with after him would never measure up. To bring my coven back to life, I would have to give birth to at least 6 children before the magic destroyed me. Each would take away a certain power, relieving me of that certain element. Logan turned, his eyes falling on me. I wanted to beg him to stay. I wanted to beg him to stay with me, but I understood he would not be okay until he put an end to what he started. He needed this, and I needed it too. Yet, it was hard. It shouldn't have been that hard. I stopped in front of him, the words at the tip of my tongue, forcefully pushing forward. If I asked him to stay with me, would he? All I felt, was it still just the bond? None of those in Rogue Kingdom were mates. The men mated with any of the females they lusted over. Even if the females did not want to, they would be forced. The concept of finding a mate was only known to me through the grimoire. Mother added a chapter for me to know what true mateship was in the werewolf world. I guess my eyes told it all because Logan just opened his arms for me. I walked in and buried myself in him, my arms wrapped around him. Don't leave me. The words finally escaped my lips by force. My voice sounded so broken even to me. I have to, Adira. The tears fell. I know. But that did not make it any easier. My head pushed up, my tears hidden by the water, but I am sure he saw them. His head lowered, lips claiming mine as I melted into him. He tore them away and kissed my nose, then forehead. You are strong. You are the head of an original coven. You are smart and kind. You will be okay. But I will not, I whispered in my head. It did not feel like it. He placed another kiss on my forehead and just froze there for so long as I seeped in his warmth, more of my tears falling away. I sniffled, feeling my nose block from all the crying. I will be okay, I whispered out to reassure myself. Logan nodded his head. We stood under the water for long minutes. I pulled my head from him, staring at his washcloth. I moved, pulling from his hold. I took the washcloth and poured the wash gel we had found in the bathroom. I cleaned Logan before we walked out of the shower. He brushed his teeth and I stood by his side, just staring at him. I would never forget the feel of him nor his taste in my mouth, and I wanted to taste nothing else. He spat and rinsed his teeth before we walked to the closet. I oiled his skin for him, his eyes following me. When I stood up, he placed his finger under my chin. He tipped my head up and claimed my lips. I felt its warmth down to my toes. They curled on the carpet. He pulled back and stared down at me. I lowered my heels back onto the ground, his arms spread around my waist, pulling me into him. I loved it so much, and I tried so hard to relish the feeling of being in his arms. My head lowered to his chest, listening to his heart drum. Words I had no idea where they were coming from hung at the tip of my tongue. I swallowed them back because I did not believe they were true. How could you love someone so fast? We pulled away from each other, him stepping back. I swallowed and closed my eyes to compose myself as he dressed up. When he was done, there was nothing left for him to do than leave. We walked back onto the room. I pulled the top sheet and wrapped it around my body. He held his hand out, and I slid mine in his. Mine was so little compared to his, which totally engulfed my own. The house was dark. Silence and cold was all that met us. Logan's arm wrapped around my waist with him pulling me closer. We walked down the stairs to the door, which we unlocked, then opened. It was time, and it would never be easy. Be safe, I whispered, but how could you tell someone who had a death wish to be safe? He nodded his head and pulled me back into him to claim my lips again. I was still relishing that kiss, marking down the feel of his warm lips, of his strong arms, when he pulled away. A second, he was holding me. The next, he was walking away into the darkness with my heart in his hands. I would never see him again. There was no rejecting his mark because we were fully mated. He wouldn't come back. The only thing I would feel would be the bond painfully snap when he died. I tried to make him out, but he had gone past the royal court wall. I closed the door and twisted the key. A frown fell upon me. It was a first to see a house with a key actually being put to use. My body turned, and I made my way back up the stairs. In my head, I was painting Logan's face because I was afraid I would forget it. A sound pulled me from my thoughts. I froze and listened with the sound not coming again until I gave up and moved. The sound came again. As I froze, it stopped. My eyes stared ahead, seeing nothing until I stared down. 3 pairs of eyes stared up at me as if they were holding their breath. "What are you doing here?" I whispered, lowering down to scoop the child. The 2 dragons flew up from the ground, moving to my height. "How are you out here?" I was perplexed. I did not even know their room, but as I walked further down, I saw the wide-open door. I shook my head, wondering how they opened the door, but it could only be the twin dragons. "You shouldn't leave your room at night," I lowly scolded, with my eyes running through to see a large crib. "Going to Dada," the toddler said, his hands in the air, waving for me. "No, Dada is sleeping, what you are supposed to be doing." I shot back. "Mama." "No, sleep." I shook my head. The crib was so large, even I could sleep in it. It was also tall. They probably made it that way for the very reason I was in that room. How did the child get off it? Could the dragons have carried him out? "Dada!" "Ooh, my goddess, it's too early, baby," I cooed. I lowered him down on the crib. He pulled my hair down with him, such an evil little coo. Trying to pry away my hair from him proved a painful thing because each time I tried to open his fist, he tugged. "Sleep," I lowly said as I straightened up, with all my hair still attached to my skull, thankfully. To my surprise, the dragons lowered down and made a circle around the child. The crib suddenly made sense. With the 2 dragon babies, all space was occupied and the baby was warm, safe, and guarded. "Sleep." I tried again, but the baby just stared at me with wide as if saying, "Try me." What a sassy baby. "Dada." "Sleep." I huffed, my hand on his belly, where I gently rubbed over and over. Soon I was gently humming. Eyes quickly turned droopy, and as soon as they closed, I let out a sigh. "That is what I call magic." A voice had me jumping around. "Shh!" I cursed out, throwing daggers at the king, who quickly looked away. I realized I was in a sheet, but it was a thick sheet, so he couldn't see anything. "Did they wake you?" I questioned. "Not really. We would have to be asleep to be woken up," the queen said, walking around the king. A wide smile sat on her face with her wiggling her eyebrows. I turned so red. "Sorry," I blurted out. "No worries. You will feel less guilty when we are on it," the queen said, burning my face even harder. "Were they trying to make their way into our room again?" she asked with me nodding my head. Don't worry. We will stay with them. Go on, have some rest." She put them back to sleep. The king pitched in. "Impossible." Shit. The queen literally rushed to the crib, only for me to be smooched on the cheek hard. "How did you do that? That little rascal never goes down. He throws Kaida and Kaida off their sleep schedule, then my babies look like dragon zombies all day." The queen sulked before she hooked her arm around mine, and soon we were walking out of the room. They delivered me to my room, where they told me to get as much rest and that it was going to be okay. It all felt weird, but they did make me feel better with their smiles and reassuring words. I waved and closed the door. Hopefully, they would not jump into lovemaking because I could not bear hearing them. The cover was pulled open before I sunk in. The sheets smelt of Logan, and I let his scent engulf me before I drifted away. The sun probably woke me up. Its thick rays poured over my body and warmed me up. It was going to be a hot day. I turned, blocking them with my arm from obliterating my eyes. My head turned to the left, sighing. I had slept for 5 hours. That was actually a lot for me. My body pushed up, a hand running through my hair. Where was Logan at that time? He was probably still far from the werewolf kingdom. My heart ached, and I hugged myself because a part of me was missing. It would probably die with Logan. The time was 9, and I did not know the vampire rules. Maybe they would want me to wake up early and do chores. In my kingdom, no one slept past 5 o'clock. Women did everything, and the only thing the men did was hunt and guard. The rest fell on women, even to bathe their mates. A shiver ran down my spine. I slid off the bed and made it. My legs carried me to the bathroom with the only thing filling it being memories. I missed him already, as weird as that sounded, but I had to move on. I showered, brushed my teeth, then walked out to the closet. My steps stopped dead. The once empty closet with just towels and a few toiletries had turned into one with 3 piles of clothes. The jeans, leggings, tracksuits, and suit pants were folded. The t-shirts and some dresses were also folded. I hung the shirts, jackets, dresses, skirts, and sweaters. On me, I pulled a pair of jeans, which still, I was in awe at wearing them. I pulled on a t-shirt, then socks and sneakers because I did not know what waited for me. I left the room, no one in sight. I took the stairs to freeze on the last step. Surely, dragons did not sweep houses. My eyes were wide, but it was the cutest thing ever. Prince Kaid was sweeping the floor, and to my shock, he seemed good at it. The other dragon flew over the corners of the ceiling, dusting while the queen moved after Kaid with a mop. "Good morning." Her bubbly voice snapped me out of it. "Morning, Your Majesty." The laugh that pulled from her had me smile. "Just call me Flavia, please. We are basically sisters," she said with me frowning. I did not see how. Same mate. Come on, there needs to be a name for that. There needs to be a bond. Weird was what it was, and an uncomfortable conversation. "I don't have sisters or friends except for Zis." "Come on, just say we are sisters," she cooed, having stopped mopping. Firstly, why was the vampire queen mopping? Did the king make her do it? Why was I surprised, though? Okay, what else could I have said? And besides, I had no friends nor sisters either. "I hope you stay, but I am sure Logan will come get you. Men, what would they be without us? We complete them. I can't wait for you to meet Zis. She is quite guarded, though, so good luck. She doesn't like much people. I can just see it. Flavia, Zis, and..." She trailed away, and I was shocked she could still mop while talking so fast. Adira. Flavia, Zis, and Adira. Indestructible. Family is everything. I did not agree with the last part, but I nodded my head. "Can I help?" "Yes, chefs go that way." She pointed to the kitchen. I took the last steps and turned to see the king busy cooking while the baby hung to his leg. I smiled at Flavia, then made my way to the kitchen. "Good morning, Your Majesty." The king turned so fast and he was fighting a chuckle. "Morning, Adira." "Just Dante. Are you here for cooking class round 2? "Yes, please." "Come along. Perfection waits for no one," he said, picking up the baby to move to pick an apron. He held it out to me, and I wore it before moving to get instructions from the head chef. The loud laughter brought me back to the world. My eyes trailed up from the grimoire to the children. They were chasing a butterfly, all seeming to enjoy it. Kia fell down, and my breath caught only to be released when he laughed even harder before he rolled and stood up, running after his 2 siblings who were flying after the butterfly. I was afraid they would devour it. The sun soaked through my skin to warm even my insides. I picked up a piece of fruit, sliding it into my mouth. No one else was around. Flavia and Dante kept themselves isolated from their people. None visited, not since I was there anyway. There were just a couple of highs and hays here and there, but besides that, nothing. The king and queen lived life as ordinary people, doing everything for their people, but keeping them at arm's length. It shocked me, and I could see there were wounds. 2 weeks it had been. 2 weeks it had been, without my mate. The hole in my chest grew larger with each day that passed, and nights got long and colder. His scent had long faded from the sheets, and I had to wash them at some point. Had he caught my father? I knew not. No news came in from him, but I was grateful that I woke up with our bond still intact. I missed everything about him. If I could go back to the early days of our meeting, I would. I missed watching him work. I missed following him around, as weird as that was. My days were spent soaking up the sun, watching over the kids. If we were not playing together, I was practicing my magic. I felt more powerful with each day, and the confidence it brought was something else. I knew my capabilities had no bounds. A sound pulled me back again, turning my head to see the king and queen walk out of the house. Flavia carried a large basket. Sure we would have a picnic. I loved those. The king's arms were wrapped around Flavia with them slowly making their way to us. Watching them always made me feel worse. Flavia's giggles poured out with the king having buried his face in her neck. I looked away, already getting a headache. I took one last look at the kids, and they were still on it. I did not mind looking after the kids, actually. It seemed the ruling couple had needed their own time. It was not something they asked out loud, but I kind of fell into the job of looking after the kids. I loved them, and they loved me, so it was the perfect job for me. The gold coins I was promised for the job were also topping on the cake. When I left, I would have coins saved. "Hello," Flavia greeted, stretching her blanket with it floating onto the grass. The king was gone, having joined the game with the kids. Kia giggled even louder as the king tickled him. "Hi," I politely greeted back. Another reason of us being outside was to give the ruling couple time to get as freaky as they liked. They were always on it. It scared me a little how sexual they were. All the time. "The sun is amazing." "Yes, it is," I replied, my eyes running back to my book. Somehow I found it hard to socialize. Maybe that was what happened when you spent 16 years locked away on your own. Flavia settled down with a sigh. She pulled out her shades and a sandwich which she bit into, lying back to stare up while munching. I can do with some sleep. I bet she would. Her moans had entertained us all through the night. I did not know how to answer to that, so I did not. "Dada, no." The little 3-year-old boy cried out. My eyes ran to them and got stuck as Dante picked up the boy who was kicking and screaming in happiness. I could not tear my eyes off them. The king chased after the twin dragons who waved their tails in a way they only did when very excited. Something in me broke and healed at the same time. "He is such a great father." I jumped, turning to find Flavia having sat up. I was not sure, so I nodded my head. "Is he always like this?" "Always," she answered, then paused. "I have news, by the way." My head turned to her. I liked Flavia a lot. I kind of looked up to her in a way. She was a different kind of strong. I envied her strength. Her eyes darted to her fingers as if guilty about something. "A birdie told me that your father has been spotted a few times around the river's pack, but they haven't been able to catch him. He is hiding near. He had a witch on his side, but they were able to catch and kill the witch, so it's just a matter of time before they find him." I swallowed, my skin already too cold for the news to affect me. Lately, I had been in a whirlwind I could not pull from. With the end near, I felt unsettled, incomplete. Are all fathers like that? My eyes were back on Dante. Flavia seemed taken back. "I don't know much. I haven't been out myself. From what I have seen, most fathers are nice to their children, but Dante is special for me. He is more involved than I have seen others be. We are lucky to have him, seriously." "Was your father nice to you?" Flavia's eyes locked with mine, and she seemed to read me for a second before she huffed and shook her head. "I was taken from my birth parents when I was a few days old. Whoever took me left me in a village, in the vampire kingdom. A man found me and took me in. He wanted to sell me, but no one would buy me, so he kept me. They used me as a maid with his soulmate. I thought it couldn't get worse, the abuse starving me. I looked like a ghost. It got worse. They had no clue what I was until I turned on my 16th birthday to my wolf. They tied me in the basement and opened a business where anyone who paid a certain amount could come and torture me. So no, the man who raised me did nothing but abuse me." "Abuse you how?" "Beating me, starving me, overworking me, torturing me, emotionally, verbally, and physically abusing me." She stated with my question still not answered, but I was afraid to ask. My heart was drumming way too much. I stared into Flavia's eyes, thinking maybe I would get the answer from there, but nil. "Did he ever—" I could not spit it out as much as I tried. "What?" "Like, touch you, make you do things with him." The words burned my tongue as they left. I could already feel my eyes burn. Flavia scooted closer, literally sitting with legs crossed, so near. Her eyes darted around to make sure no one was near. All I could do was cast my head down. Her hands took both of mine in, and I squeezed hers hard for support. "Did your father ever use you like that, Adira?" she asked out, her voice firm. I closed my eyes, head shaking because I did not want to spit it out. "It's a daughter's duty to take care of her father's needs, to make sure he is happy and satisfied," I blurted out, the tears streaming down. No, it is not, Adira. Listen to me. Your parents bring you into this world on their own. We don't ask them to. They decide they are ready and they bring us to this world. They need to take care of us until we can stand on our own and make our own decisions. That means food is on them. Clothes are on them. Your health is on them. They take care of us, make sure we are okay. Never are they supposed to hit us. Using us sexually is a crime deserving death. A father is never supposed to even think of such thoughts of his daughter. Daughters are supposed to be just that, daughters. If a father wants sex, they go and find whores, whatever, who is willing to do it with them. Her forehead was leaning on mine. These words were seething through her teeth with her turning red by the second. Did he ever touch you, Adira? Touching would not even begin to explain it. I nodded my head because words failed me. Arms came around me, Flavia hugging me so tightly to her body. Since I was 10, I did not want to cry, but I could not stop the tears. So many emotions had been building up all through the days, and finally the tears escaped. Him and Beta Leo. Did you tell Logan? I shook my head. How could I even begin to tell him what they did to me? A part of me wanted to bury that part of my life away, but it kept showing its ugly head over and over. Maybe when everything was done, them all dead, I would find closure, but I doubted it. They were haunting me. I cried until I stopped. My head just lay on Flavia's shoulder. She burned hot, her body trembling. Death would be too easy, Adira. I killed the man I saw as a father, and if I had a chance, I would wake him up to do it over again, but more painfully this time. These are evil men, Adira, who take pleasure in hurting children. Just imagine my little babies being abused like that. I would combust into a dragon, I swear. They hurt you, and I am so sorry. 11 years ago. Third POV. The princess of the rogue princess stood from the bathtub. A towel wrapped around her before her lady-in-waiting dried her skin for her. They worked in silence. As much as the day was supposed to be one of peace, they both were in their heads because of information they learned just a day ago. I am done, princess. Please stand there, Rosalind stated, with the princess doing as told. She stared at her tiny feet, her toes curled. She had spent the previous night weeping her heart out, so she bore the consequences on the following day. Her nose was blocked, and her eyes were swollen. Her head turned to the guard not far away, staring. She felt naked even with the towel around her. I am done. Arms up, princess. She followed the instructions with Rosalind applying deodorant on her, then moisturized her skin. The princess could see her trusted lady sweat right before her. She could see her hands tremble and how her heart could be seen pounding through her chest. It threw the princess into chaos because she wondered what had brought such distraught. Rosalind walked away to come back holding a blue matching pair of underwear. She pulled it on and saw Rosalind panic from the corner of her eye. What is it, Rosalind? The 15-year-old princess finally acquired because she couldn't bear the panic. The king is back? He is coming after I leave. Rosalind blurted out, eyes going wide on both parties. Rosalind, no. You said he left to go on an attack. Rosalind? The princess cried, her heart dropping so painfully. She thought she had a few days before he would come to her. He came back to get more warriors. That's why I am early. He said he is in a hurry. Tears poured from both of them. Eyes dropped to the princess's stomach with dread filling both of them. They wept, but it wouldn't help them at all. The door suddenly opened, sending both of them into a jump, yelps filling the room. What is taking so long? I am in a hurry. King Agnes shot through, his eyes running until they lay on Adira. My king. Rosalind quickly tore her hands from the princess, running to the king to bow her head. The princess hasn't eaten yet. A loud slap tore through the room. It was with such impact the 20-year-old maid was thrown to the side, her body a sack of heaves and cries. Take her out and put her in her place. The king roared with the guard dragging Rosalind out. Princess Adira was too shocked to even scream. She kept crying, kept quivering. The king stalked near her, madness all over his face. She couldn't just stand there. Instinct kicked in, she ran. Princess wants to play today. The king jumped to a run. The predator in him triggered. A scream poured from the princess in realization. She did not want to stop, but it was out of her control. The chain around her ankle that stripped her of all magic reached its limit and tugged her back so painfully. A loud cry poured from her. Her eyes roamed all over the room, wanting to change direction, but it was too late. Large arms wrapped around her body. She screamed, kicked, and threw her tiny fists. "Feisty today, just how I like it, princess." He dragged her back to the bed where he threw her. With quick work, he dropped his shorts, suddenly too excited to wait, needing to take her then and there. The princess rolled away, but was caught back and pinned down by the king's heavy body. He took what he wanted, even with the young princess begging no. When he was done, he pulled away, satisfied. The fight was gone from her. It never helped. She just shook on the bed with his eyes taking her in. "What is that sound?" It was then he noticed the sound he had been too excited to hear before. Princess Adira was too tired to fight anymore. She just wept silently as he pressed his ear on her belly. "Another one. I am getting tired of taking care of these. But we can't fool you for being so fertile, princess. You are perfect, my perfect little girl." His finger ran over his daughter's face. She was so out of it she couldn't hear a thing he said. "We should get you the tea." He trailed away, a bulb lighting in his head. "Or maybe we should take a faster way that may secure that this can never happen again." A punch to the gut was all the warning the young princess got. She screamed and folded herself, but the king pulled her by the hair to the floor before he threw his foot so hard on her belly over and over. Her screams and cries would have woken the dead. They sent the birds flying away. They brought the whole kingdom to a halt in eerie silence until they stopped. All hoped the little princess had finally taken her last breath to escape such torture, but life wasn't that kind to the little hybrid. Blood was all that covered the floor, her blood and her unborn child's. "Shh, my little one! Daddy is right here!" Logan. If only they knew their chatter irritated me, they would have stopped at once. If my scorn did not say it, then they did not care for their lives. My eyes closed, and I wanted to succumb to my thoughts in peace and quiet, but the chatter took that away from me. Deadly was what I would describe myself as. From the moment I got back to the pack, I turned for the worst. I told Alyssa to fuck off. She left crying with no protection to make sure she got home safe. Why would I care? She had made the way to my pack on her own so she could make it back to her pack on her own. I told my beta to pack his bags and piss off my land until he knew who his alpha was. He had thought I was joking, so when I carried him to the pack border myself, he understood his real position in the pack. He came crawling back because he had nowhere else to go. I would never be disrespected by infants. I was there when his mother changed his diapers, and I watched his balls drop. He was not going to question my rule in my pack. Silence. I finally exploded and finally found peace. We had been hunting the rogue bastard for weeks. He tried to attack the pack, but we killed his witch before they could do much damage. He ran, of course, and since then we had been trying to sniff him out. The day was close when I would take my revenge on him. The things I had planned for him, little of his men still rotted in my cells. I had killed most except 3. If I killed them all, who would I play with when madness came knocking? With the silence, it gave me time to ponder on the warmth that was spreading from my heart. I sat up from the ground where I had been lying. My men were staring at each other, probably mind-linking about how unfair I was being. Their eyes widened as I stared at them, giving them away. I would have laughed if I had been in a happy mood, which I never was except for once. Only one person could bring the type of happiness I had never felt before. I shook my head, because I did not want to go down that road, but it was too late. Once Adira occupied my thoughts, getting her out was a war. I would reminisce from the first time I lay my eyes on her. So many questions I had, questions I would ponder on until my head throbbed to the point of explosion. I shifted, the warmth growing in my chest until I could no longer ignore it. Only one person could have my heart drum so hard. "I am heading to the pack. I will see you all tomorrow morning." I shot, already on my feet even though I knew I was being delusional because there was no way she had made her way back to me. No one dared say a single word. The distance was gulped in record time. By the time I crossed the border, beads of sweat had collected on my forehead. I was so near yet far. The warmth spread, the huge hole that had been in my chest filled with hope. No one said how hard it could be to be away from your mate. I was hanging on by a strand, which was probably why I had turned delusional. The house came to view, and it was dark. Some of that hope chirped away. Adira could not see in the dark. Again, more questions. I ran past the door, it closing after me. I took the steps 2 at a time to halt right before the bedroom door. I could hear movement. I could hear her heart steadily drum, and she was humming. My heart, ooh, goddess, I did not know what was happening. Maybe my brain had finally kicked the bucket. I leaned on the door, willing to just have that moment before I found out it was all in my head. But I couldn't stand there forever. I pushed the door open and walked in slowly. Her scent, mixed with mine, hit me hard. I nearly stumbled back. My hand clenched around the handle as I took her frame walk from the bathroom, only for her to halt. Her head turned, her eyes taking me in, and goddess, I swear, I saw them brighten just a little. My own damaged heart went paralyzed. Is this real? I hadn't realized I said it out loud until she nodded her head, fully turning to me. The door was closed, pushing forward to halt. Suddenly, I wondered what her smile looked like. Never, not even by chance had I seen it, but how could I have when I had chained her? I closed the gap between us, and she met me halfway. An inch away, we froze. Eyes took the other up and down to make sure they were okay. She looked thicker and lighter in spirit, but also dark, if that made sense. She had this dark aura about her I could not explain. It perplexed me because I had come to realize my mate was soft and kind. She carried sins on her. She shouldn't have. I took the first step, chasing any air between us. Our fingertips touched as toes did the same. Why had she come? What happened? Did something happen? My voice was laced with worry. Never had I been so concerned about someone besides my family and Flavia. No. She lowly spoke, her head shake affirming that. She stared at me, the only one to look me in the eye and never quiver. There was no part of me she hadn't seen, and still she stared with warmth. I just missed you. Any restraint I had snapped. I missed you too. The words echoed in my head, heavy on my tongue, yet I never spilled them. My hand went to her cheek, pulling closer with our lips grazing. The kiss was sweet, and I felt her toes curl. My arm wrapped around her waist, bringing her closer. My chest rumbled from her smelling of me, and she wearing my shirt. I wanted her in nothing else. Mine. My wolf shot in excitement. After Flavia, we had not thought we would ever feel such feelings. We never thought we could have a home, but here she was. I pulled back because I had to see her again to make sure I wasn't crazy. My dirty, rough hand brushed on her soft skin. What a contrast. Let me take a shower. I have been in the woods for days. I probably don't smell pleasant at all. You always smell good to me. She pulled me back to her. I was shocked by the dominance, but I liked it. She deepened the kiss and threatened to have my toes curl again. Imagine. I pulled away, her taking deep gulps of air. She was so beautiful. Her skin had gained more color, her eyes a bit more vibrant. Never had I seen eyes in such a color, but Adira was something else, of course. Go and be fast, she said, pushing me away. Who was this girl? Yes, mate. I will. I teased to stop. I was not supposed to have another mate. I did not deserve a second chance, but there I was. She let me go, and I did not make her wait for long. In a few minutes I was out of the shower. I brushed my teeth and walked out, a towel around my waist. My eyes ran to find her, and she was on the bed, reading a kid's book? More questions. Her eyes ran up to me, and she closed the book and set it on the side table. Her eyes were filled with nothing but wickedness I would exploit. Forget about clothes and anything else. I wanted her. The towel dropped halfway across to the bed, and I watched with a corked eye as she bit her lower lip. Her eyes swirled with need I knew too well. She had awakened it, and I needed more of her. Her legs were open to accept me in, her hands on my waist. My hand ran up her inner thigh to her sex, only to groan out loud because she was bare. Hot and wet for me. A tremble ran over my body, instantly hard for her. I pulled my hand up and brought it to my nose. I loved her smell, and more importantly, I loved how she tasted. I licked the fingers clean, eyes on her. Hers were hooded at that point, chest pushing up and down violently. I missed her more than she knew. My hands pulled her, and slowly I crept up the bed with her in my arms. Then I lowered down, my lips claiming hers. My fingers lowered, unbuttoning the shirt slowly. I pulled away to pull it off her because I wanted every part of her against me. Mine. My wolf felt challenged at every turn when it came to Adira. He had grown possessive in the past days, and I never ceased to hear about it. She pushed up, her arms crossing behind my back. Her lips locked with mine, and it felt like she was kissing my soul. It sent sweet tremors down my body and jolted my cock in search for home. I shifted until I nestled at the gates of heaven. She was so hot, purring for me. Slowly, I sank in, both gasping out in amazement of how good it felt. She was perfect for my large size, taking all of me in while slightly choking me. Even my dick trembled as we lost ourselves in her. She made everything right. She made us forget. She made us feel emotions we were not allowed to feel. Logan. Then she moaned my name and sent my wolf and I in a frenzy. She wanted us. As broken and dark as we were, she needed us. My wolf whimpered in my head, begging for us to stay with her. But even he knew our time was done in this world. She moaned and whimpered as I slowly sank in and out. My hands molded her body. I did not want to rush things. I wanted to relish and prolong the moment. A groan escaped from my lips, burying my head in her hair to draw her scent in. She had used my shampoo, the mix sending me off the ledge. I pumped twice in her so fast, unraveling her. Her legs fell wide open, getting warmer and wetter with each thrust, and it was perfect. She was perfect. Logan. Yes, my love. Yes, I am here. Such dangerous thoughts it was. For that moment, I let them be. My brain was too scrambled to try and hold them in. Yes, mate, call my name. Logan. A roar rose from within me. Not only was she stroking my member, but something deep in me. If only she knew what she was doing to me. If only she knew the loads of pain she was melting away with just her touch. For that moment, I wanted to live for her. With her, we could bear through everything. How did I go about asking? I never asked to mark her. I knew nothing of her future plans. I did not want to cage her again, but without her, I did not see life. A wave of emotions and sensation rippled through me with such force I thrust deeper and faster. Adira. She was going to be the death of me. I held her tighter, yet still, not tight enough. Logan, please. Anything, my love. Anything. There was no time to panic. A loud groan filled the room. Our moans met, and we splattered together. Our bodies jerked so hard we had to hold each other so tightly to not waste away. Stay. Be mine forever. I will try to give you all of me. The sentences echoed in my head. They made me hold her tighter because as hard as I wanted to, as much as I tried to, they wouldn't move past my lips. Logan. My finger ran up and down her arm while I held her onto my chest. Her chest gently rose and fell, yet I knew she was not asleep. But it seemed she wanted me to believe she had succumbed to sleep, or maybe she did not want to talk. I understood. I had everything I needed, and I did not want to ruin it by throwing out words that had me in confusion. Her skin was the softest I had touched in all my years. She had no marks, no scars, just perfect creamy skin I could not stop stroking. The sparks were getting intense with each stroke, and I loved them. She was so small she fit in me. I could still remember how it felt to be inside her, and I would forever be amazed at how amazing it feels. Even just holding her, it was an experience that nearly drowned me in euphoria. I wanted no sleep because it would take me away from her. Her hair spread over my chest, her lips slightly pressed on my skin. I marked the moment in my head over and over because I did not want to forget it. I angled my head down, kissing her hair. Her tiny hands' arms wrapped around my waist tightly, as if she was afraid I would disappear, as if she was holding me for the last time. Back and forth I had been going. She made me want to forget my future plans and spend the rest of my life trying to make her happy. Could I coax a smile on that face? Could I control my demons? I was not sure. I would scare her away. Maybe I would hurt her one day. I did not trust myself anymore. She shifted and pulled her arm out from under me. I moved up, then settled back down. Her finger lay on my side before it drew circles on my skin over and over. My head suddenly fell heavy. My eyelids drooped, and I was finding it hard to keep them apart until everything just turned back. Alpha! It was a distant, panicked call. I wanted to swim to it, but something was holding me back. Alpha! My heart erupted into chaos as I fought through the fog that kept me bolted from waking up. Alpha, something is wrong. I groaned out loud, turning in bed with my head throbbing so violently it affected my eyes. My hand rubbed on my eyes with the call coming repeatedly. "What is wrong, Sonny?" I snapped. "One of the prisoners escaped. Beta Helix is still trying to get information from the others, but it seems he had help." A groan pulled from me as I shot up straight. My anger burned all the pain and grogginess away. "What?" It was a rhetorical question, but of course Sonny repeated it all. "I have been trying to reach those on Border Patrol. They are all silent. I am heading there now." "Okay, tell me how a starved man reeking of rogue skunk was able to pass by them. When I get there, I won't be talking." I rolled off the bed, rushing to pull my briefs on, then shorts and a t-shirt. I spared a second to brush my teeth with me marching out to the room where I stood still. "Adira?" My eyes wrecked the room, every single corner, and no Adira. "Adira?" I opened the bathroom door again and she was not there. I re-entered the closet and it was empty. I even peered under the bed and she was nowhere to be seen. There were no traces of her, not even her scent. Not even on the sheets. Impossible. My hand ran through my hair. Had I imagined it? Had something happened to her? Was she kidnapped? The last thought sent me running downstairs. I called for her over and over, the reality of the situation washing over me. Adira? The fear that rippled was so dangerous, all I saw was blood. The distance between the Alpha House and the cells was gulped at a record speed. I could hear the men scream as I jogged down. My head warrior had blood splattered over him with pleas bouncing off the walls. "I swear that is all," the prisoner begged, his face deformed from blows. "What did he say?" I asked my beta, who had turned pale from watching. "It's the girl, the witch. She freed the man." "Impossible. Tauren move. I swear. She came in a few hours ago. She unlocked the cell door with her magic. She told him to get up. We all begged her to free us, but she said our time is coming. She told the man to run to the east where her father was last spotted. She told him to keep trying to link him, that when he was near enough, the link would go through." The man blurted out with bubbles of blood. "What did she want him to link?" I asked, a shiver running through my body. My head was shaking, my hands in fists, but I was trying to keep calm. She wanted her father to come attack the pack. She said he should link, that she will take care of the defenses. He should come and get her. She needs him. The man finished, his eyes wide, begging us to believe him. I shook so hard I would splatter. I did not understand. The bells were ringing in my head, everything connecting, but still, it did not make sense. Why? Why would she do that? I couldn't understand. I thought she did not agree with everything her people did. She watched as I butchered the prisoners. She seemed unaffected. Had she been watching and plotting? Had she been waiting for the perfect opportunity? But why after so long? They are lovers, her father and her. He wanted no one else but her. My blood ran cold, the gasps behind me sending me off the edge. The words kept echoing in my head over and over. "It's a lie. I am not. It's true. I swear. Please, I swear." Tears poured from the man. The other prisoner who had been watching gnawed his head from his cell. I could not even breathe. I marked her. She could use the bond to hurt me further than her father had already broke me. How? I could not even think. The cell was spinning. My knees went weak. Alpha. I am in the east border. The rogues are coming. All the patrol is out. She is here. The witch is. The link cut, vanished to thin air. The fear that had passed through the link, it was something else. My body swayed. With one wave, my hand had turned to a claw, slicing the man's head off his neck. "Helix, take everyone into the bunker. The rogues are here." I could not hold the tremble in. I had brought this onto my pack. Our defenses were nothing compared to Adira. She said it herself. She was the head of an original coven, and I was bound to her. I stumbled out somehow. Helix had sent the link because, as I stepped out, the whole pack was running to hide. Warriors to the east border. I linked, trying to collect myself, trying to compose my shock. Such betrayal, but what would you expect from a rogue? Never trust a rogue. Somehow, I could not even be angry because of the pain. Anger was how I kept going, but this blow, it wiped me out. I ran, my warriors just behind me. They did not even have to try to keep up because I was wasted. I could barely even see the way. My heart dropped and squeezed as I saw the first body. I stopped, lowering with my hand going over to the neck. Relief washed over me as I heard a faint heartbeat. They were alive. The more we ran toward the border, the more bodies of my border patrol. All were still alive, just knocked out. It brought some hope. Maybe I could talk Adira out of it. Somehow, I still held hope. How stupid was I? The words from the man's mouth echoed in my head. Adira and her father? The disgust washed over me, yet still, I held hope. My run broke with harsh winds suddenly greeting us out of nowhere. They were so harsh, I had to cover my mouth and nose. The trees had all been cleared away. Had she leveled the land for the fight? I did not even want to proceed on, but I did. More bodies on the ground. The vegetation had turned color. It seemed to be drained of life the more we approached until I saw her. She was bent over, drawing something on the ground. Her head was bent, her hair hiding her away. She still wore my shirt, it loosely hanging. I wanted to call out to her, to ask what was happening, but then I saw the rogues. They were pushing something, air? It seemed they were trapped by invisible barriers they could not escape. A frown fell on my face. I held my hand up, telling my warriors to stop. Alone, I proceeded on, moving until I couldn't move further. Just like the rogues, it seemed an invisible barrier existed to stop us from reaching Adira and the rogues. But for them, it seemed they could not even walk back where they came from. I watched as their warriors threw themselves on the barrier, but unlike the last one, this one did not even budge. My eyes traveled left only to lock with gray eyes. King Agnes, I would never forget him. I never knew such pure evil existed until I faced his wrath. He had personally seen to all my torture. The scars I wore, all the silver that had been strapped on my body and forced through my mouth was by his head. I trembled so hard I thought the ground was shaking. My body heated up so much, feeling as if I would explode. He was there, just a few feet away. I ran and slammed myself into the barrier, but nothing happened. A grin spread over Agnes's face, like he had won. Not even Adira would keep me from killing him if it was the last thing I did in this world. The anger surged back through my body and I was like a bull. Adira picked her side. She sided with her lover. She could do her worst, but the fact was that I would tear that man's face apart. My mother, my sisters, my father. I shook my head, heaving out loud. I rammed my head into the barrier. The blood ran down my forehead, but no pain. I pulled away, pacing left and right, thinking of a way through. My eyes fell on a rock. I picked it up and held it in hand. My eyes fell on Adira. If I knocked her out, it would be free reign on her father. I threw the rock directly to her, but it shattered apart against the barrier and wasted away. The anger took another curve up. I bent over, my brain seeming to short-circuit. Agnes's laugh filled the air. It was fuel to fire. All that ekpi sialilatura pieralioi boil, all leer to ekpi matter pieralioi wanires. The chants began and I moved back, bracing myself for anything. My head turned to my men, telling them to brace themselves, but the screams did not erupt from our side. Loud screams, screams that left even I pale, filled the air. A rumble tore through the sky as if in reaction to the screams. The sky darkened, the air turned cold and sour. The trees turned black, birds falling all around us. My heart drummed with fear. Men with fists I could fight, but this I couldn't. The rogue warriors fell on their knees, their skin turned so red, boils appearing on it. Their mouths were wide open, literally, steam pouring out with blood, but it seemed even their blood burned them, pouring out in hot bubbles. I watched their tongues turn black. The rogue king stood, unaffected, watching all around him as some of his men held on to him for help, but even the fear poured from him. The men ran around, trying to find anything to relieve the pain, but nothing. My gut twisted, and I wanted to vomit. The steam rose from their bodies. They were burning from inside out, their blood pouring from their pores. Gasps pulled from my warriors, them taking steps away, but I could only take one forward. What was happening? My eyes snapped to Adira. She was slowly rising to the sky. Her arms were wide open, head thrown back. A large, old-looking book with a leather cover flew right before her, the pages turning so fast. Her hair floated down, and she looked like a demon with black veins slowly creeping through her skin. Adira. I whispered the name in my head, my heart drumming with fear once again, but fear for her. She never stopped chanting. Her voice got louder and stronger. Whatever she had drawn on the ground had turned black. Her body suddenly jerked over and over, then turned in the air to fall back into the original rising position. Her name was stuck on my tongue. I was too scared to even utter a single word. my hands on the barrier, staring wide-eyed. 1 second it was gruesome screams, then suddenly silence echoed through. I looked away from her to the rogue warriors, and they all were black sacks of melting skin on the ground. I turned cold. "Princess, what are you doing?" The father had guessed he was next. He screamed angrily, but the fear carried in his voice could be heard. "Princess?" "I open the gates of hell." "No. I bind thy soul to the fires of eternity." "No." I wished I could scream out. I wished I could tell her to stop. The ground began shaking as she called all her ancestors by name. The sky was pure black. The air turned so cold I shivered. My wolf had cowered in with all the darkness that suddenly took root in the land. "Princess, woo." Agnes did not finish his sentence. His body bent backwards in such an unnatural way. His screams could have torn the skies. I went cold to the bone. Adira began chanting in different tongues, going deep with her voice, multiplying until it sounded as if she was no longer alone. It was as if a demon or demons had taken over her. Her skin was so pale, the black veins spreading faster, and all I could do was watch with pain spreading through my body. What happened? I was confused. The screams from the rogue king got louder. The ground trembled harder until finally it began splitting apart on the rogue king's side. He fell down onto the ground, crawling with blood pouring from his mouth. He was trying to crawl away from her, but he kept falling flat on the ground. "Zephyrnira, Pifernira, Ekpi Ali, sacrifice, lifer anglier to fires for day hell." "Please, please." The king screamed to her chants as his body bent over and over again. I stumbled back when my eyes fell on the black roots rising from the cracks on the ground. A loud roar poured from the king as one root tore through his leg. I thought my soul had ripped from me. Another large and black root tore through his stomach to the other side. His other leg was next, and his arms. "Waniras! Waniras! Waniras!" "No, please." A root tore through his mouth with his jaw dislocating. The roots continued growing higher, rising with him pinned on them. He shook to show sign of life, blood running down the roots, his eyes wide and moving about in so much fear. Adira bent forward, the voices getting louder and separating by seconds with everything she said. Her pale, ashy hand reached into the book, and I moved forward. Her hand sank in the book only to pull out with a black, veiny knife. "Adira!" I couldn't hold back. I kept screaming her name, and it was then I realized tears were streaming down my face. "Adira, no!" She did not even turn. Her eyes were all black. Both hands held the knife, pointed towards herself. "Adira! Adira! No, baby, no! Adira, please!" I threw myself against the barrier with no help. I slammed until my arm felt as if it would fall off. "Adira, no!" She pushed the knife into her belly, and I thought I would scatter. The chanting stopped, her body trembling with black blood pouring down from her wound. I wanted to scream, but I was too weak. I swear I could feel the knife even through my belly, and it burned. "You were supposed to protect me. How could you? How could you? In the name of all the children you ripped out of my womb, of all the blood you drew from me, from my pain, my innocence, I bind you to eternal pain and suffering. You will never hurt me again." A cough poured from her, blood down her chin. "You will never hurt anyone else again. I condemn you to burn," she screamed, quickly pulling the knife from her womb with a scream, so loud and long it turned to a shrill, just pouring from her. Ah! A black wave of air cleared out. Agnes's body was quickly pulled down, even as he twitched. The ground swallowed him along with all the dead bodies of his warriors. Nothing was left behind. The knife fell back into the book, the pages running with Adira spinning in the air. "No." I ran for the barrier, stumbling past it. Adira fell so fast and I jumped, her body crumbling into my arms with us falling hard together. She was so cold, her blood red again. Her eyes flickered, the darkness leaving as the skies cleared. The black veins swam away from her, leaving her just pale. Adira. Her eyes ran to me. Her body jerked as a cough got stuck in her throat, bubbles of blood popping out of her mouth. I did not even know what to say as I adjusted her in my arms. My hand fell on her face, brushing her hair away. Adira. It seemed all I was capable of from there was call her name. "I am sorry." I shook my head. There was nothing she should have been sorry for. There was nothing she did wrong. My arms held her tighter, pulling her up to me. "Please, don't die." It was déjà vu, like how I had begged my sister to hold on after losing our mother and Issa. Adira's hand fell on my chest, slightly pushing. I moved back, staring into her violet eyes, the most beautiful eyes I had ever seen. Please don't leave. My tears fell on her cheek, cleaning it off the blood. Her own ran out. I am sorry, she whispered again, coughing just after. I lowered my head, my lips on her forehead. I could not move them because she was so silent I thought she was gone. My eyes closed, the tears just falling. Please, goddess, not another one. Please, goddess, not her too. Please. I kept begging in my head, waiting for a miracle of something. She coughed out loud, her blood pouring on me. I pulled from her, afraid I would suffocate her. I wiped her blood from her skin, her eyes drooping. Please keep my grimoire safe. No. I wanted her. I love you, Logan. No, don't leave. She pulled me to her. My lips fell on hers. I could only tremble and break down as I felt the life drain from her body. I love you too, Adira. On trembling legs, I rose with my mate in my arms, limp and cold. I wanted to bawl. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run and never stop. Everything was spinning. Everything was blurring. The pain in my chest was indescribable. The scream was caught in my chest, suffocating me. In a way I could not process. In a way my mind could not get past the point that I had just been holding and stroking her body not long ago. How could she be gone? My mouth opened and closed. I shut my eyes, the tears raining. I opened them, seeing my warriors all standing, staring, even those that had been knocked out. She was gone. Her spell faded away. My chest was closing in as I heaved. What was I supposed to do? This couldn't be it. Down I crumbled, my knees hitting ground. Take her to the queen. Sonny's voice broke through my daze and finally it clicked. He did not have to say it twice. I was up and stumbling forward before they could even take their next breath. My feet were weak, but grew stronger as my wolf pumped all he had into my body. I ran through the trees like never before. My feet were barely even touching ground as I flew through the forest. I hoped I wasn't late, the tears still flowing. I could not see a thing, but my wolf held the reins. We had to save our mate, by all costs. I would give up my own life if I had to. I ran through the border and left their patrol running after me, trying to catch up, but they did not understand. I was losing my mate, my chosen mate. Despite all the crazy, she still chose me. Even after I forcefully marked her, she marked me back. How could I have ever doubted her? She was the purest and most kind, even with the pain she wore through her eyes. It had always been there, but I had been too blind to see. The answers had always been there, but I had been too selfish to figure it all out. So much pain. Her words echoed in my head, her words to the evil rogue king. It ripped me apart, most of them suddenly making sense. My body trembled, the tears flowing down. I recalled the first time I pulled her to my bed, how hard she had cried. Why hadn't I seen it? Not my Adira? I stumbled, but caught myself. I blinked, but all I saw was blurry. I blinked again, smelling the people, hearing them gasp. My run broke to a few stumbles. Logan. I fell onto my knees, my mate in my arms. I will give my own life, Raven. Please, save her. I trembled so hard, the sob breaking through me. Her blood had soaked me wet and my tears made it worse. Please, what happened? I heaved out, my mind in the gutter. No words came to mind except please. Nothing made sense except for Adira coming back to life. Aurelie saved me once. She could save her too. Even if we had to trade lives, she still had to live life and be happy. She still had to smile. Logan? Please, just save her, please, Raven. Logan. A hand fell on me, shaking me as I shook my head. My eyes were closed, crumbling apart. Logan. Logan. It was all turning to a distant echo, the grief drowning me. My lips fell heavy, all of me soggy. Without her, there was no life. There was no point. Logan, listen. My body was shook over and over until I raised my head, my eyes falling on the dark pools belonging to the queen. Listen. She spat the word out, then her eyes turned down to Adira. I followed her gaze and saw nothing. Listen. But too much was happening, too many sounds. I swallowed, realizing it was just my heart beating too loud. I willed it to calm down, to slow down, and that was when all the other sounds came. At first, I was confused until I heard it, until I heard the heartbeat. My eyes went wide. Logan, she marked you back. Your blood got into her system, blood which has strands from my DNA. She is immortal, as you are. My head shook, not believing it. I lowered my head, the pounding coming over and over again. I stared at her face, seeing her not so pale anymore. The traces of the black magic were gone, just the drying blood on her skin. Everything in me just shut down. Too much had happened and I just couldn't function anymore. I wanted to just sit there, but she was all that mattered. I pushed up, turned, and slowly walked away. My eyes were on her, watching as if she would suddenly stop breathing and leave me again. My feet carried me all the way, walking through the hours until I broke through my pack. I walked to my house, the night deep, all retired. I walked up the stairs to our room. I did not want to, but I had to. I lowered her on the bed. I was working on autopilot, my mind seeming to have kicked the bucket. The bathroom door was opened. I picked a towel, wetting it. Carefully, I began cleaning her skin. I pulled the shirt out and my eyes stared at the red scar that looked alive. I cleaned around it, then moved to clean the rest of her. I covered her with the blankets to stand and watch her chest rise and fall for the next hour. It was 3 hours later when I decided to shower myself. I rid myself of the traces of her blood with shaky hands, then I walked to the bed, sliding next to her. I held her body close, feeling her burn warm. My finger trailed on her skin with my eyes never daring to pull away. She would never suffer again. Not while I still lived. She would know happiness no matter the cost. She would smile and laugh. I would personally see to it. She deserved the world and the world I would give. A knock pulled me from my train of thought. Alpha? The shaky voice came from Sonny, my gamma. The king and queen are here. I was impressed he wasn't stumbling on his words. My eyes never tore from my mate. Her mark still stood, black, which was a contrast to her cream skin. I lowered, kissing her soft cheek. The feet trailed away, left in peace. Sun rays flood through the windows, it being another day, yet still she hadn't woken. Logan. A knock followed. Can we come in? The voice came again a minute later. I guess they decided to walk in because the door opened. My back was to them. I made sure Adira was well covered. I leaned on my elbow, my head on hand, staring down at my goddess. She was so pure. Sorry to disturb. They moved around the bed until they had a view of her. She will be fine, Aurelie assured. Not, I continued, stroking Adira's cheek. I knew I owed everything I had to Aurelie. She was the reason I was even still alive. She healed and fed me her blood when I was in the brink of death, fighting for life so I could avenge my family. Her blood gave me immortality, and gave my body no choice but to turn immune to the silver before spitting it out. I knew she was the only one on my side through my breakdowns. I was grateful, but I just always lashed out on her. I am sorry. I could feel the shock, and thank you for everything, both of you. I added, my eyes never tearing from Adira. I will ask her to stay with me and be my Luna. I breathed out. She sees through me, she understands me, she loves me, and I love her too. My hand moved low, taking hers and interlocking them together. Hers was smaller than mine. She was not meant for me, but she was perfect. We just want you to be happy, Logan. I could feel the queen was nearly tearing up. Thank you. I finished off, lowering to place a kiss on Adira because I needed her to just open her eyes so I could make sure she was okay. Anything you need, Logan. I nodded my head from Aurelie's words. They left not long after, and I was left holding my mate in peace. Come back to me, please. The rays spread onto the room, onto our bodies, but failed to bring her back, even as they slowly crept away. A knock came, a few of the women having brought food, Sonny with them. They walked in, eyes running to Adira with the food left on her side table. The queen wasn't the only one that needed an apology. My pack also needed one. I had frightened them. I had abused them. From then I would be a better alpha, an alpha my father would be proud of. The hand in mine shifted. I froze, my eyes running down to stare as Adira woke from the dead. Her face was in a deep frown as she groaned. Her eyes squinted before her free hand went over them, rubbing. Logan? Yes, my love. I leaned closer, my heart hammering dangerously. She groaned again, then moved her arm to wrap it around me. She buried her face into the crook of my neck, and I nearly chuckled. My arms wrapped around her, relief washing over me. Are you okay? How are you feeling? What happened? The confusion could be heard. You can't die, my love. You are immortal. What? The werewolf queen is actually the goddess of darkness. She is a god, she is immortal. And when you get a strand of her DNA in you, like I did, you become immortal too. When you marked me, you took my blood, which has mutated from her blood, and you also became immortal. I explained, knowing I was confusing her more. All I wanted was to see her. I pulled back, pulling her back too so I could lay my eyes on her. I stared at her beautiful face. Her eyes fluttered to me, the frown slowly falling away. Her tiny hands gripped me tighter. No one will ever hurt you again while I breathe, even if you don't stay with me. I am staying with you. She quickly enforced, wanting no confusion there. She wore no shame at all to say it out. I couldn't even recall what I wanted to say. She was proud of me, having me. I lowered my head, my lips on hers until we both couldn't breathe. Will you be my Luna, my mate forever? I will tie our souls even beyond that, Logan. Don't try me. I chuckled, leaning my forehead against hers, fighting tears. I beg you to do so. With pleasure. I never want to lose you again. I love you. I love you too, Logan. Forever, my love? I could not even believe it as I said the words. Forever. 8 months later. Adira. And what about this one, Luna? That's Rosemary Ashley, I answered with her gasping, nearly having me laugh. What does it do? Remy questioned with her eyes wider. They could never say no to an opportunity to play with dirt. I took Remy in, her hands muddy as she pat them on the soil around the tomatoes. I mainly use it to cook, Remy, she gasped. Anything I would say to them would have them wide-eyed and gasping. Cooking what, Luna? I shook my head, a giggle pulling from me. Food, Beck. My gardens were filled with toddlers planting and picking herbs. I wouldn't have been able to keep them out of the gardens even if I tried to. The back of the Alpha house had vegetable and herb gardens spreading to the forest. The front was littered with so many different flowers I was guilty of planting. 8 months it had been since I promised Logan forever, and finally, he put a smile on my face. The past months had been more than I could imagine life could be. I shone like the sun and giggled like a child, and it was all because of him. Day by day he showered me with love, care, and his devotion. Little by little we healed together, and 8 months later I wouldn't be anywhere else. It smells so nice. Look, butterflies. The children were having too much fun. They gasped, staring at the insects flying around the garden. Bountiful, one stated, and I giggled because of the way she said it, so cute. Come on, we are done for today. We all need to go clean up. But Luna. No buts. Go so we can all sit down and eat dinner. Don't you want to eat dinner with the pack? Some jumped, some clapped their hands. Most were already running to wash away the dirt in the little pond by the gardens. Be careful there. I shot, shaking my head. Yes, Luna. I giggled, my chest warming up. The dark cloud over the pack faded with each month that passed. Even after the apology from Logan, they had all held their breath, waiting for his next breakdown until recently when they finally relaxed. It had just been blow after blow for them, and hopefully nothing else would come our way. Bye. Bye, Luna. One by one, the children ran to hug my legs as I giggled out loud. It was a shock where we were, because a few months back the women would all harbor their children away from me. When word got out of how I opened hell and condemned my people into it, the whole pack stayed away at all costs. But I never gave up seeking everyone out. When the women did something, I would join until they got used to me. When they cooked, I was there. When they were washing, I would be there, also washing. Slowly they got to know me and accepted me as their Luna. Most were just relieved Alyssa was gone. Apparently she tortured them. The kids ran away, waving as I waved back to them. I straightened up, a smile on my face. The women were probably preparing dinner, and I wanted to go there, but I was filthy from kneeling on the garden soil. I decided to rush to the house to take a shower. What was once a scary and cold house had turned to a warm home where Logan and I would raise our children. Portraits of Logan's family hung over different parts of the house. My heart clenched every time I passed one. I wished I could have met them. From what Logan told me, they were kind, strong-headed, but nice. It was hard, but slowly we healed. I jogged up the stairs to halt as I walked past the window. Rosalind was walking from the fields, carrying a large basket. When word got out about me being the new Luna Rivers, the women from my kingdom traveled to the pack and begged for refugee. At first, I thought the pack would reject them. There had been a long meeting where I explained how the females were treated in my kingdom. They were victims themselves, abused by the men every single day. The whole Rivers pack was asked to vote if they wanted the females from my kingdom to enter the borders and join the pack. All voted yes. And that's where I saw how amazing the Rivers pack was. I loved them all with everything in me. They were kind, strong, and welcoming, as scary as it must have been for them. So many had lost family when the rogues attacked their pack a few years, but still, they accepted us and treated us as equals. It nearly brought me to tears every time I thought of it. Our pack grew tremendously, and luckily we had the land and resources, so my people were well taken care of. I just wished the females from my kingdom would relax. But I understood. They felt they needed to constantly prove their worth so they wouldn't be kicked out of the pack. They worked 3 times harder than anyone else. They always were available to help with anything. It killed me that they felt that way, and I hoped that one day they would realize that they deserved to be free and happy, that they had found a home that would not abuse them. My heart inflated and I felt my chest get so warm. Arms suddenly wrapped around my waist. A smile spread on my face, leaning back into Logan's chest. Mate, mate, it killed me every time he said that. My smile turned into a grin. His kisses moved from the arch of my neck upwards. Someone needs some cleaning, he said, pulling a giggle from me. Are you offering my love? Always, he stated, and before I knew it, my body was thrown up. I found myself hanging ass up over his shoulders. My laugh filled the house. Logan. He rushed up the steps and the door to our bedroom slammed shut behind us. Soon he was undressing me, steam from the shower rising. So needy. How can I not when you put a spell on me? I am addicted. I chuckled from his words, my lips falling on his. His fingers ran up my waist. I jumped and laughed out loud as he tickled me. No. My legs jet up, but he gave me no relief as I laughed until I cried. Logan, yes, my love, he called back, kissing me while I heaved from the tickles. I love you, I whispered out between kisses. He groaned, walking in the shower with me. I love you too, my Luna, my perfect, gorgeous Luna. His kisses trailed up and down my body until I shivered. I felt like I was losing my mind. My whole body tingled, and all I needed was him. My love for him was immense. He promised to give me his all, and every day he poured his soul, his love, and his seed in me. I never knew such happiness before. Moans filled the bathroom as he took me against the shower door. I felt like I was flying, and my wolf howled in my head. I shifted just 2 months after we made it, and I finally felt complete. My wolf was so small, but I loved her so much. How are we so lucky? I love you so much. I panted with the climax hitting me so hard I cried. I love you too, Adira. Logan groaned, holding me tighter. We stood on shaky legs for half an hour in each other's arms while the warm water poured on us. The nights were my favorite because I got to spend 10 hours with him, uninterrupted. Before I forget, Flavia sent a message for you. My smile spread wider. Flavia and Dante visited 2 months back. When Flavia said sisters, she meant just that. What did she say? Witches have been spotted around their borders, and now black birds fly in a circle over their land, Logan said, bent and kissing my shoulder. I froze, my eyes wide. Logan tensed behind me. What is it? He questioned. It means death. The witches? I could not even speak as my heart drummed hard. The witches have declared war on them. The end. Thank you so much for reading. Please stay connected and updated on my FB author page, SETI LMM.